The call came on a Tuesday, so ordinary I still had toast crumbs on my shirt and a sticky note stuck to my elbow. I just collapsed into my office chair after the morning rush when my phone buzzed with an unknown number. No caller ID, no reason to answer, but I did. "Hello, is this Liam Carter?" a voice asked. I nodded, wary. "This is Sarah from Horizon Trust Bank. We're calling about your loan balance of $498,000. We've sent several notices. I don't have a loan," I snapped, sharper than I meant. "You've got the wrong person." A pause. "Sir, our records list your name, date of birth, and social security number. You're the primary borrower. The loan was taken out 3 years ago." 3 years. My brain stalled. That was when my older brother, Ethan, started raving about his new chapter. He talked about buying a condo, something sleek for his fresh start. I remembered him showing off design apps at family dinners, joking about his bad credit like it was nothing. Dad said, "We'll sort it out. Family always does. But not like this." I hung up, somehow calm, and stared at my desk for a minute. The hum of my computer filled the quiet. My hands were clammy, my throat tight. I told myself it was a mistake, a glitch, a typo, someone with my name, but my gut knew better. I rummaged through my desk, past old receipts and holiday cards, until I found a forgotten letter from Horizon, a generic ad I'd ignored. Now it felt like a missed alarm. I sat in my small apartment, papers scattered around me, staring at my life in fragments. I owned no property, had no car loan, no shared accounts. My finances were clean, intentional. Yet someone had tied me to nearly $500,000 in debt. And not just anyone. Only my family had my full name, my social security number, my signature from years of helping with their tax forms, medical bills, and bank applications. The thought hit before I could stop it. I didn't want to believe it, but some betrayals don't barge in. They slip through the cracks. I didn't sleep. I lay awake, eyes on the ceiling, circling the same question. If they'd asked, would I have agreed? Probably not. But that wasn't the issue. They never asked. By morning, I'd stopped pretending it was an error. The pieces aligned too neatly. Ethan's condo talk had peaked right before that loan date. A modern loft, a rooftop deck, space for his dreams. He was jobless then, his credit a mess, but Dad said, "Don't worry, Ethan always lands on his feet." Apparently, I was the landing pad. I dug through old files, tax records, insurance forms, a lease I'd co-signed when Dad was between jobs. There, in my own pen, were the tools to impersonate me. I'd given them freely because I was the dependable one, the problem solver, the son who stayed steady. Mom used to say it like a badge, "Liam doesn't need hand-holding. He's solid." The trade-off was clear. Ethan got leeway, I got expectations. Growing up, it was small stuff. He'd skip chores, and it was, "He's figuring himself out." I'd slip up, and it was, "Liam, you're better than that." He'd total his car, and Mom would shrug, "That's what insurance is for." I'd ask for a new phone, and Dad would say, "Money's tight." They didn't resent me. That'd be simpler. They just saw me as unbreakable. Maybe that's why they thought it was okay to use my name, my credit, to weave me into a lie that could have shattered me. Maybe they thought I'd carry it. But beneath my calm, something shifted, not anger, not vengeance, but focus. I emailed the bank for the loan documents. The clerk was brisk, unaware her file would append everything. When it arrived, I stared at the screen. Page after page, my name, my birth date, my details, my signature. But it wasn't mine. It was close, too close. Someone had practiced, maybe traced, but they missed the slight loop in my C, the way my R slants. This signature was bolder, surer, unlike my cautious scrawl. It was like seeing a stranger wearing my face. And I knew who'd penned it. I didn't call them. No texts to Ethan. No frantic messages to my parents demanding answers. I didn't shout. I just gathered every document linking me to them. Tax filings, medical consents, a car loan I'd co-signed for Mom's recovery. A decade of yeses, given out of duty, love, habit. I'd said yes when no one even asked. I printed my records, credit reports, account logs, identity theft alerts. I'd never owned a condo, but there it was. Horizon Trust's loan package, my name notarized, binding, stolen. For days, I kept it all on my dining table, organized like a case study. This wasn't a project. It was survival. A coworker, MIA, noticed I was off. She caught me zoning out over lunch and cornered me. "You look like you're carrying the world," she said. I spilled it all. Maybe because she was the only one who ever asked, "How's Liam?" and cared. She didn't coddle me, just handed me a number. "Call her. She's sharp, cuts through family drama." That's how I met Ms. Torres, a no-nonsense lawyer with a voice like she'd seen it all. We met at a diner near my place. No office, no fuss, just her, a notepad, and tea. She scanned my files in silence, then looked up. "You know what this is, don't you?" "I think so," I said. "Fraud. Identity theft, at least," she said. The words landed heavy. I swallowed. "I don't want to ruin them. I just want it fixed." "You're not ruining anyone," she said. "You're taking back what's yours." She laid out the plan. File a police report, notify the bank, submit evidence, dispute the loan, press charges if needed. "It'll be slow," she warned. "And it'll cut ties." I thought about ties, as if they still held, as if I hadn't been on my own for years. At home, I found an old Christmas card from Mom in a box I hadn't opened since moving. Her neat script read, "Happy 30th, our steady Liam. We don't say it enough, but you're our anchor. We're so lucky." Anchor. It was meant to be kind, but it stung. They saw me as the one who'd never sink, so they thought I'd never say no. But I was done being their fallback. Sunday came too soon. I stood outside my parents' house. Red door, chipped porch, clutching a folder like it might vanish. I hadn't spoken to them since the documents arrived, since Ms. Torres confirmed this wasn't just a mess, it was a crime. I knocked. Mom opened the door, all smiles. "Liam!" I was just putting lasagna in. Like nothing was wrong. I stepped inside. The house smelled of garlic and laundry, same as always. Ethan sprawled on the couch, scrolling his phone, a beer nearby. Dad flipped through a car magazine, barely glancing up. I sat through dinner. Lasagna, salad, breadsticks. Mom chatted about neighbors. Ethan griped about his job. Dad nodded at the TV. I waited. When the table was cleared, I spoke. "Hey, anyone know about a loan in my name?" Silence, thick and heavy. Ethan's jaw tightened. Mom's fork froze. Dad coughed. I didn't flinch, just watched. Mom finally spoke, her voice light, like we were talking about a parking ticket. "Oh, Liam, it's just paperwork. Ethan needed a boost to qualify. You're not paying it. It's family." Ethan stared at his plate. "Your credit's solid. Mine's trash. It's not fair if you don't help." Not fair. Like I'd been greedy for asking. I looked at them, the parents who raised me, the brother I'd bailed out of jams. They didn't see this as wrong. They saw it as my role. I nodded, slow and even. "Thanks for clearing that up," I said softly. Ethan exhaled, back to his phone. Dad grabbed his magazine. Mom smiled, relieved, thinking the storm had passed. They didn't see what had changed. They thought I was still their Liam, quiet, compliant. But I hadn't come to argue. I'd come to hear them, to give them a chance. They used it to defend the lie. Next morning, I filed the police report. The officer, weary but kind, flipped through my folder, his frown deepening. "You sure about this?" he asked, not doubting, just careful. "If I don't," I said, "they'll do it again." He nodded, stamped the forms. It was done. That afternoon, I mailed a certified letter to Horizon Trust. Police report, dispute notice, ID copies. The postal clerk slid it into the tray like it was nothing. To me, it was a wall, built in ink. I didn't warn them. No calls, no showdowns, just quiet. Days passed. 3, 5, a week. No texts, no voicemails, just the weight of waiting. Then, Friday evening, a knock. Through the peephole, I saw Mom, bundled in her best scarf, her face torn between anger and dread. I opened the door but didn't invite her in. How could you? She hissed. The police. Liam, how dare you? Her voice was sharp, but I heard the fear, not for me, but for what it meant, the spotlight on them. I stayed silent. We trusted you to understand, she pressed. Ethan needed help. Family sticks together. No, I said, steady. Family asks. They don't take. She blinked, stung by the calm. You've ruined us, she snapped. Do you know how this looks? I didn't ruin anything, I said. I just stopped hiding the cracks. She opened her mouth, but I was already shutting the door. The lock clicked, louder than any shout. That night, Ethan called 9 times, left 3 voicemails, each one louder. I deleted them unheard. The next day, an email from Horizon Trust, loan suspended pending investigation. They were reviewing the notary, the signatures. My credit was still bruised, but the knot was loosening. I called Ms. Torres. They're moving on it, I said. They usually do, she replied. When you don't scream, just show the truth. She was right. I hadn't yelled. I hadn't pleaded. I just let the truth work. And it was enough. Weeks later, the silence grew dense. No calls, no family dinners, no guilt trips about my duty. They didn't want to fix it. They wanted the old Liam, the one who always said yes. He was gone. I filled my days with things I'd let slip. Morning runs, coffee shops, sketching in the park. I didn't want payback. I wanted space, calm. And I had it. Months passed. Spring arrived, soft greens and purples blooming, like the world was ready to try again. I kept my head down, signed papers from Ms. Torres, checked my credit like it might betray me. The case dragged, the damage lingered, but I felt lighter. I spent weekends hiking, joined a book club, helped at a community garden. Small things, mine alone. One Saturday, I stood at a farmer's market, selling sketchbooks I'd made, simple, hand-stitched, each one flawed but honest. A man picked up one labeled Reset, its cover slightly uneven but sturdy. Why reset? He asked. I shrugged. It wasn't meant to be, but it is. He nodded, paid, and left. That evening, I sat on my balcony with a beer, the first true quiet I'd earned. Then I saw them. Mom, Dad, Ethan, standing across the street, hesitant, like they might bolt. They looked worn. Ethan's hair was messy, Dad's jacket creased, Mom's grip tight on her bag. I walked toward them, unhurried. When they saw me, they stiffened. Liam, Mom started, voice shaky. We messed up, but we family. Ethan stepped closer. I just need a hand, man. Don't cut us off. There was no heat in me, no fight. Just clarity. They weren't here for me. They were here because they were stuck. I set my bag down, looked at each of them. I hope, I said slowly, you learn what family really is. It's not something you take or fake when you're out of options. I pulled an envelope from my pocket. Inside, the forged loan papers, their signatures, a red void stamp. Tucked behind, a card from Dad years back. You're our rock, Liam. We're lucky. I handed it to Mom. Her hands trembled. I'm not mad, I said. Not anymore. I'm free. She tried to speak, but I was already turning. I'm not coming back, I said, walking away. My steps echoed on the pavement, louder than any argument. I didn't look back. At the corner, I paused. The breeze tugged my jacket. The sky was fading to dusk, shadows stretching long. I whispered to myself, sometimes leaving is the strongest thing you say. They used my name like it was theirs, but I walked away. No noise, no warning, just a silence they couldn't miss. If you've ever been the one they leaned on too hard, you'll know why I never turned around. Subscribe to join others who've reclaimed their voice. Like and comment to share your story. Some truths are meant to be remembered, not forgiven.